All right, guys, so yesterday we talked about primitive reflexes, right? And that kind of tug of war that exists between the brainstem and the frontal lobe, right? That sympathetic and parasympathetic driven physiology. But today I want to go kind of backwards in a ways and talk a little bit about how and why this place is called brain balance, okay? Because actually it wasn't that tug of war sort of concept that originally founded the premise that is brain balance. So the doc that created this entire program, his son struggled with neurobehavioral, neurodevelopmental issues. And of course, being a chiropractic neurologist, he wanted to look at the wiring of what wasn't working and what we needed to functionally reconnect so that your brain could optimally function. You know, you look at these kids and they are clumsy, they're hyperactive, they have a poor sense of like distance, right? They may be like a close talker. They may have really high allergies or even autoimmune conditions. They're obsessive. They repeat behaviors over and over, right? They perseverate. They can't control their emotions, or maybe they even have no emotions. They have poor eye contact, stuff like this. So what he found was that when you really look at most of these issues, they overwhelmingly lie in the right hemisphere of your brain, okay? And so when we go back and kind of further that discussion on neurological development, as your brain grows north rostrally from your brainstem, your right hemisphere tends to develop before your left does. Okay, it's kind of like the first floor, right? When we build the brain that is your house. So this is why we would specifically do adjustments on a left side of the kid's body, right? Because all of those nerve pathways, all of that stimuli comes up and crosses over to the right hemisphere of your brain. Okay, and that's how we tackle really everything at Brain Balance. Is we want to drive as much stimulus unilaterally, right, to the right hemisphere of the brain as possible, right? So that means that we'll do vestibular stimulus. We'll spin a kid, right, in a barber chair to a specific direction, right, to stimulate the right hemisphere. We want to do saccadic eye movements, right, fast eye movements to a certain direction, because we know that those are directly stimulated by your frontal lobe. We want to teach kids proprioceptive activities, right? We want them to be able to stand on one foot, right? And guess what? This side that's linked to their hemispheric weakness is not as good. So we want to build that. So there is a concerted effort to drive stimuli towards that weakened or under-functioning hemisphere so that we can obviously bring those functions in line so that those guys can continuously connect and function at the level that they were intended. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of context as to why it's called brain balance, right? And really why we see so many imbalances and why the pattern fits for so many kids.